Hello, today we will talk about my general experience with Hindu sorcery. My Hindu black magic experience is based upon material published by the Ayan World Foundation. Main spirits from the tradition with whom I am working are Pishacha Mayalakan, Rakashi Lankini, Asura Kalanemi, and Kali. And this video will be a little bit different than previous videos I made regarding this tradition and this current. This will also be a beginning of continuation for the Tantric Sorcery series on this channel. This was by far the most popular topic requested by multiple people who demanded for me to film this video in a comment section. Since this is a democratic channel which provides spiritual gnosis and knowledge from my limited personal experience according to your need, guys, I will return to Hindu sorcery and I will cover it on this channel. First, let me elaborate why I didn't cover Hindu sorcery on this channel. The reason why I didn't do it is because I worked a little bit with the Canaanite pantheon, I had a little adventure there, and it took a little bit of my time. However, I had multiple paranormal visitations, visions, and intense experiences from the entities on the Tantrika Bichara path which demanded me to return. I ignored their call and it didn't end the best for me. There are certain things you need to know once you start working on the path with those Abhichara entities, with those Pishachas, Asuras, Rakashas and those beings. They are not really tolerant of certain type of behavior, and let me explain what I mean. Once you start merging with them, as I did, to a limited degree. Now, I don't want my words to be misinterpreted here. I start forms of merging with them, which were appropriate for my spiritual level. So, I am not in any way a Tantrika Bichara adept, but I had certain limited positive and beneficial spiritual experience with those beings. However, due to my personal concerns for about a month, I decided to stop working. And let's say that it didn't end well for me. Once you start merging with those beings, they will not be really forgiving if you stop doing it all of a sudden. It doesn't matter what your reasons are, because once you start merging with those beings, and I am not referring to simply summoning them for stuff, once you summon them through their yantras and names and you demand a form of merging, an informal pact is made. Let me explain what I mean by that. Once you start the process, there is a certain spiritual law which demands that you have to finish it. So maybe I made a mistake by asking those entities to technically merge with me without understanding what it actually means and represents. But I did it anyway, and I actually don't regret it, because they gave me an enormous amount of knowledge in a really short amount of time. And the way they work with people is pretty much something which is on a level I never experienced before. Another thing to point out is that their energy of those entities, Asuras, Pichachas, Rakashas, each has a certain effect on your energy body. I don't know how to describe this. Other spirits I work with have certain attribute which dictates that you can pretty easily mask or remove their energy. However, that's not the case with those Avichara tantric entities. When they infuse you with their power, you cannot remove it, and alterations in your physical and metaphysical reality of your personal soul will immediately follow according to the amount of energy you absorbed. So, let's say that I work with my Yalakan and I merge with him, for example. I try to merge with his energy and attune to his resonance. I will technically absorb a part of his personality in the process. Let's say that I will become more arrogant in the process and more infused with that negativity, and it's really difficult to reverse the absorption of his personality, which for example comes into you during the process of merging. Now, that's the reason why, in my opinion, those techniques were forbidden, because those spirits create a form of change which is not evil in any shape or form, because in a state of being they exist. Good and evil are absent because good and evil doesn't exist, but those spirits create irreversible change with an individual. You cannot simply start and stop working with them. And that's the truth for the gods. However, when you work with higher beings, for example, the gods, there is something about them, about the gods, for example, like Lakshmi. You can kinda much more easier communicate with them and direct their energy. The gods are not weaker than demons, than dark entities. They are, in my opinion, equal in power. But when you start working with negative entity, you will not be in a position to control things and to alter the deal beyond a certain point. So once you start working, once you start practicing, and you go beyond a certain point, number one, you cannot stop doing it. And number two, you cannot simply say, hey, Asura Kalanemi, I don't want to do the thing this way. I want to do it that way. This doesn't work with them. If you work with them, you do as they say. And one of the conditions is to technically see them as guides and travel the path they follow. And there is a contract there, informal contract, which is created when the merging starts. When you request that beginning of a merging process. And this informal contract is something that majority of people who are summoning those entities are not aware, so I kind of became aware of it, so how I can say, have obligation to talk about this publicly, since majority of people requested this topic. This informal contract states that once you start merging with them, with those negative entities who live in those negative dimensions, those negative entities are obligated to guide you on a path of their spiritual evolution to the maximum you can handle. So they are obligated to give you all of the knowledge they have, all of the power they have, and all of the experiences they can give. That's what they are obligated to give you. But what you are obligated is, you are obligated to do as they say. And they will recommend every possible thing which helps you to merge with them better. And as soon as you request merging with them for a first time, this informal contract is signed. And it doesn't have to be a paper contract. As soon as you request any form of merging with them, this informal contract comes into place. It becomes activated. And what is interesting here, and what will repulse many people, is that it doesn't matter are you aware that this contract exists or not. It will become active anyway. So now I understand why certain people in Hindu Ayanist tradition tend to merge with positive and negative spirits at the same time. Because when you merge with negative spirits, it can become overwhelming pretty quickly. So they also merge with positive spirits to balance things out. And it also makes them more capable of controlling the negative experiences they have through merging with negative entities. But the truth of the matter is that you need to be aware of this fact before you start working with dark Abhichara entities. And I think, especially if you want to work with Asura Kalanemi or Mayalakan, they, in my experience, were more aggressive than, for example, Lankini or Dantean. Maybe, I don't know. When I say aggressive, let me define, because I don't want to slander the spirits who taught me so much. Mayalakan and Kalanemi were more insisting upon me to continue the merging process, despite of the fact that I was not and am not willing 100% to do it. But they kind of came to me and they told me this information about informal agreement, which I am giving to you now, and which I gave to you now. And since I checked with my other spirit guides and other spirits I work with, that this informal agreement indeed exists, and that I will have a really difficult consequences if I break this agreement, I decided to continue this series on the internet, as well as continue merging with those spirits. But technically speaking, what you need to understand is that those entities are not your enemies. Mayalakan is not your enemy. Kalanemi is not your enemy. Dantin is not your enemy. Rakashi Lankini is not your enemy. But out of the all systems I ever worked with, those spirits are one of the most difficult to actually work long term. They are really easy to summon for the first time. They come pretty quickly. It's not a problem to come in contact with them and solve some little material problems. That's no-brainer. But if you actually want to work with them, they are one of the most difficult guides who will pass you through one of the most difficult trials out of everything I practiced. And this is not just my opinion. There are many other people who share it. So, I hope this video will give you food for thought. But I need to say one last sentence before I end this clip, and I say the following. If you feel attracted to dark aspect of Hindu spirituality and to Agora path and to Hindu black magic, summon those spirits and work with them. Ask them for knowledge, ask them for whatever they can give. But please, before you start requesting to merge with them, think a little bit. Do you really want to work with them in the next decade? On a daily basis. If answer is yes, then merge. If answer is no, please have yourself a cup of coffee, drink some nice whiskey, and summon something else for alchemical transformation. Thanks for watching and see you next time.